Today we're gathering around the campfire with Dina, a QHS member whose life is as exciting and grounding as a hike through the mountains. But what trails did she tread to reach these heights? Let's trek into the wilderness and discover the adventures that led Dina to where she is today.
Greetings, QHS friends. My name is Dina. I was born in 1961 in New Orleans, Louisiana. I was the youngest of 5 children with a 10-year gap between my last sibling, a brother, and me. My mother was a war bride during World War II. She and my father married when he was stationed in Rome as an army sergeant. At age 16, my quest for esoteric knowledge and spiritual truths began as I voraciously read and studied philosophical and religious texts exploring all religions, as well as ET history from people like Billy Meyer and Alex Collier. My childhood was primarily composed of positive experiences. The most influential adults during my formative years were my maternal grandparents, Nonno and Nonna, from whom I learned to speak fluent Italian. I excelled at school and graduated with honors as an English major in college. I loved all genres of literature, especially poetry and the classics. After graduating from college with honors, I met my husband and we married in 1983. We had 33 wonderful years together. He passed in 2014. For over 30 years, I pursued a career as a licensed massage therapist with special training in reflexology and acupressure therapy. In 2015, I became a certified past life regression therapist, and most of my work in that regard is now done online remotely. Currently, I'm in a new relationship, and it's a wonderful one, and I'm enjoying my life with this new man and our 7 cats and 2 pet goats. In the mid-1980s, my late husband and I started a humane education program, which was freely offered in elementary schools. This was throughout St. Tammany Parish, Louisiana. Our program was very well received by parents, teachers, and the school children. We wrote and performed a skit called Dog, a D-A-W-G, and Cat, K-A-T, Tell All. Dog and Cat Tell All, which highlighted the fate of homeless pets and inspired for our young audiences respect for all life. And we offered practical ways that the children could take good care of their own pets. There were quite a few newspaper articles written about my late husband and me in the 1980s and 90s. Saul and Dina Smithson, the couple who performed humane ed skits for school children. On one occasion, our skit was filmed by the local public television station in New Orleans, and footage from the shooting was used in a documentary about the plight of homeless pets in shelters. We called ourselves PAF, P-A-A-F, People's Animal Assistance Foundation. Through PAF, we volunteered at different animal shelters and sanctuaries. We raised tens of thousands of dollars for animal rescue groups, through fundraising events, and through successful grant writing. All of our work was volunteer and nonprofit. Whenever we could afford to do so, we'd visit the local animal shelters in our area and we'd rescue a dog or cat on the E-list. The E-list is the euthanasia list. We then foster the pet, providing any necessary veterinary rehabilitation, treatments, and we paid for all of this out of pocket. We provided behavioral modification and training when needed, and this was to help the pet become more adoptable. We'd troubleshoot what was needed and just, worked on those behavioral modifications and just brought the pet back to health. Sometimes they just needed to de-stress and get out of the animal shelter environment, and that really helped them to become adopted. We rescued, rehabilitated, and rehomed hundreds of animals, from dogs and cats to squirrels, deer, birds, and goats. While we have rescued and rehomed quite a few goats, including several baby blind goats set for slaughter, 4 of our rescue goats remained with us. This all took place in 2010 when we rescued 4 wonderful baby wethers. And a wether is a neutered male goat. So these little goats also were destined for slaughter at the dairy where we had worked one kidding season. And again, this is my late husband and I. One of those original 4 goats is still alive as I write this in December of 2024. His name is Santer, and he is almost 15 years old now. And that's an age that's almost unheard of in the goat world. And currently I have almost ready for the publisher a series of 6 children's stories called Mr. Carlini's Goats, The Colorado Tales. The stories are based on the love and fun which my husband and I experienced together raising these rescued goats. I speak of the love and appreciation that I have for animals because though there are some important health issues that I would love to address and have healed, it was due to a tragic injury sustained by my beloved cat, Missy Whiskers. And it's because of that experience that I was led to QHS in March of 2023. I'll share a little more about that in a moment. But first, I'd like to say that beginning in 2019, I began experiencing symptoms of sleep apnea. And after 3 hospital sleep tests, it was determined that I was experiencing severe complex sleep apnea. So complex means that there's both central and obstructive apnea going on at the same time. Central apnea is when something is interfering with the normal breathing signals between the brain and the lungs and the diaphragm. Obstructive apnea is when there is some physical obstruction of the airway during sleep. I had 3 sleep tests performed between 2019 and 2021. So it was determined that I was routinely experiencing long pauses in the breathing cycles, starting in the 3rd stage of sleep. Test results showed that I was having cessation of breathing and significant oxygen drops happening over 45 times per night, with episodes of breathing cessation and hypoxia lasting up to several minutes at a time, with oxygen saturation sometimes dropping into the 70s. I was told that this is a very serious condition. But because I refused the prescribed BiPAP machine, which made me feel like I was a member of the Borg, my insurance carrier will not cover the cost of another sleep test. So at the recording of this prequel, several years have gone by since the first sleep test. Last one was in 2023, but first one was in 2019. 1 entire year has passed since I've worn my V6 device. Without a formal sleep test at this stage of the game, I have no way of knowing for sure if the severe hypoxia and breathing pauses have improved as shown on paper from the other tests. But what I can say is that in this year during which I've worn the QHS daily, some positive changes have taken place. Well, in the past, my right nostril would immediately plug up the minute I lay down to sleep. This phenomena stopped happening in May, 2 months after using the QHS Twine Wave device. I also stopped using an oxygen concentrator, which would give supplemental oxygen at night when I slept. I just don't feel like I need it. The only method I have to measure oxygen drops at this time is with an oxygen ring, and that's a home-based little device that you wear at night. And with that, my saturation levels show that they are actually very good, even though I'm not using the supplemental oxygen. I can also report that I feel much more rested and alert every day since wearing the device. And I feel very energetic, especially over the past few months. Just really clear-minded, lots of good energy, and feeling rested. And I feel better than I have in several years. I also take compounded hormone replacement therapy, and I welcome the results that Cynthia has reported for herself in that regard, just from her using the V9. The sleep apnea issue is the most serious of all, and this would be my first and foremost healing desire. In the meantime, I'm feeling much healthier and stronger since the quantum twine wave has been in my life. And I do sense that the complex sleep apnea symptoms have greatly subsided and maybe even completely gone away. I'm also very grateful for the positive changes which I've experienced, and I do feel that the device had something to do with that. On a less serious note, the health improvements that I would like to experience from the QArc makeover are vanishing spider veins on the back of my legs, and just having an overall body tune-up, because I feel that being at my best health-wise would give me more quantity and quality of life to live in this lifetime, and this would also allow me to continue being of service to other humans and to the animal kingdom. I also would like to have my gallbladder regrown. I almost said removed. It's already been removed. Regrown. It was removed in early March of 2024. And as someone who understands the mind-body connection, I know that gallbladder issues can be connected on an energetic level to emotional difficulties. After my late husband passed, I was in another relationship which proved to be toxic, and it took a toll on my health. After 9 years of offering my best to this person in the relationship, we finally parted ways last year. So in addition to the gallbladder restoration, I welcome the restoration of my appendix, which also was removed in 2015. Other than that, I would love to have all the synthetic dental materials, such as fillings and crowns, removed and my teeth completely restored. Now, let me share what led me to QHS. So in March of 2023, my 5-year-old cat, Missy Whiskers, had to have 6.5 inches of her tail. Oh, it was once a beautiful tail. And she had to have 6.5 inches of it removed, amputated. So this is a difficult story to tell as to all the whys and wherefores that this tragedy happened. Suffice it to say that the events were related to poor thinking on the part of the partner in the aforementioned toxic relationship. It was a matter of poor judgment and poor action. Nothing was done maliciously, only poor judgment was at play due to this person's dependency on alcohol and how it affected his mind. Nevertheless, the infection in Whisker's tail went to the bone, hence the need for amputation by the vet. Prior to her losing her tail, I often admired this beautiful, plush, long tail, and it was indeed a magnificent tail. Seeing all that had happened to her and the pain which she endured during the healing process, I feel that I had failed her by not preventing the problem in the first place. Because of the circumstances surrounding this event, I was in a state of emotional turmoil for the next 3 months, and that was after the tail had been amputated. And though I consider myself a very strong person and one with a spiritual perspective in life, and also that I've never identified with victimhood, I can truthfully say that this experience really shook me. Nevertheless, the harm which befell my cat under my watch in the hands of the former partner was a very difficult reality to accept. And each day, as I looked upon her horribly mutilated tail, I was reminded of the incident. Now, here is the silver lining to that cloud. Just a week after the trauma sustained by Whiskers had occurred, I heard an interview of Dr. Christiane Northrup, along with two podcasters, S.G. Anon and Michael Jaco. The three were discussing the sad state of our controlled healthcare system. During the discussion, Dr. Northrup mentioned the advanced possibilities that are currently happening behind the scenes. She mentioned a healing technology from which a three-legged dog had his fourth leg, the missing leg, regrown. Wow. Of course, when I heard of this, I thought of Whiskers. I tried to email Dr. Northrup to learn more about the technology, but the only way I could connect with her as per instructions on her website was either by fax or snail mail. So I sent her both. 1 month later, I received an email reply from her. She told me that she knew little about the details regarding the technology, only that it had been mentioned by Alex Collier. Alex Collier, of course. My late husband and I have followed his reports since the early 90s. And I almost always purchase his webinars, the replays. Nevertheless, after receiving this info from Dr. Northrup, I went back through Alex's replays, which I had not seen yet, and sure enough, in one of them, he mentioned QHS. Membership was closed at the time that I found the contact info, but when it reopened again in November of 2023, I signed up. My V6 arrived in March of 2024. I'm now waiting to receive the V9, and I really am excited about receiving the V9. During the months that followed after I became a member with QHS, I shared info about the technology with other people, and 3 of them joined as well, and those people are still active members. While signing up, of course, I thought of my own health needs, even though the initial motivation to contact QHS was for my cat and her healing. Having Whiskers' tail regrown to its original beauty would be an immense, and I really do mean an immense, form of personal healing for me, for my own mind, body, and spirit. In my opinion, the well-being of our beloved animal companions is just as important to our own health as humans. When our beloved animals thrive, this helps us to thrive too. I see their well-being to be very important to our own health. I would say just as important as what we do in the way of diet and exercise and philosophy and how we view life. I mean, those of us who have animal companions, when they're doing well, it adds to our own health. I'm also aware now that the animal proof-of-concept studies won't begin until all of the human trials are done. But I know that when the time comes, Missy Whiskers will have her beautiful tail restored. So why is this important? Well, as I said, the healing I would receive from this experience is too big to put into words. It would affect me positively on every level of my own being. Plus, we all know that where animals are concerned, there are no placebos, no placebo effects. Where humans are concerned, a skeptical mind might dismiss a positive result as a placebo. But when a 3-legged dog's 4th leg is regrown and a cat's mutilated tail is restored to its original state of wholeness and beauty, the placebo effect and subjective belief systems are not part of the equation. In closing, I'd like to say that I look forward to the day when there may be some follow-up with a once good friend who laughed in my face when I had shared with her Dr. Northrup's hopeful reply about where she had heard about the three-legged dog becoming a four-legged dog. And that's why I bring up the placebo effect, because for people like that, when the proof is shown right before them, they can't just chalk it up to, people having high hopes or making up the results. This friend did not share in my vision. She poo-pooed it, seemingly with delight, saying, "Don't hold your breath." While my ego would certainly take some pleasure in telling her I told you so, I know that simply by letting her see Whisker's tail, that this would be proof in and of itself, and I would not have to say anything to this person. I do believe that what we members of QHS will experience with our QArc makeovers and what our beloved animal companions shall experience as well will help to anchor in new understanding and acceptance of humanity's power and magnificence as quantum beings. In this way, Whisker's healing, along with my own, may serve to open closed minds. In the meantime, I stay active, taking care of my rescue animals, presently 7 cats and 2 goats, and my beloved significant other and I enjoy taking our goats on long walks. And we like to hike the beautiful terrain that we're blessed to see just outside our windows here in Colorado. I also have adopted a ketovore diet and have felt trimmer and healthier than I have in a long time. There's a little song that I sing to Whiskers, and I call it the Quantum Kitty Song. And I have to say, she seems to understand on some level, because she blinks her eyes at me when I sing it to her. In closing, I wish to express that I would love to be part of a QHS humanitarian project that establishes the QArc healing centers for animals. So if there is anyone here in Colorado who's a member of QHS and you have the same vision, or even anyone else in the world who has that vision, please contact me and maybe we can brainstorm our dreams together. All right, well, that's it. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my story and also the story of my cat, Missy Whiskers.
Join us on the Prequel, where every story matters and every voice is heard. Because here at QHS, we're all about healing, learning, and growing together.